My name is Simudzirayi, and welcome to the Simudzirayi Podcast.
Macydo or Macydo. The idea behind my passion, right, especially when it comes to young people play a very big role in the future of Africa and of Zimbabwe, where we have to take part. We cannot wait for somebody else to do it. Let's talk about Zimbabwe itself. So every corner of Zimbabwe, as big as it is, it was a farm to the white settlers. Roller train with railway.
That's the word. I think that also brought it's a weird question that I've always had.
It's Honorable Chiwenga once made a comment at an event when he said that we should get into khaki jobs, and he trended on social media.
Gone are the days where we say white collar jobs. No, we want khaki jobs.
And people literally say, "Oh no, why khaki jobs? What is he saying?" You're not saying anything makes sense, but he actually said the wisest thing ever.
Yeah.
Khaki jobs is farming.
Okay.
You need to get into farming.
Because when I look at Zimbabwe, I always felt like it's a very small country.
That's why we have a government, right, to ask those questions. The problem that we have as young people is that we spend so much time asking the government the wrong questions. So we never end up having the right information.
Okay. What are the right questions?
Right. Yeah. Yes, it might start as a startup, it might start as a side hustle, right? But if your vision wanted to grow to become an econet, you have to invest in it.
Sure.
A lot. That success is impacting the world with the investment of your personality. Right.
Yeah.
So what this means is that for you to be a success, you have to invest in yourself. It's a convocation of the elite minds.
You're missing out on the history. So who's coming?
We have amazing people coming. Of course, your favorites. All right, so we have Vimbai Butau. We have Kwame Opoku from Ghana. Futurist Kwame focuses on innovation. All right, and there's one of my favorites, like Vusi Kwame. They're my favorites, but this one is special to me because she's like a mom and she echoes the voice of African development. Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chiwomorikwao.
But yeah, so the first question obviously that I'm going to ask is how is it like being mentored by Vusi? So finally, Vusi is coming to Zim. And for those who know me or who know some of the spaces that I've been in, I'm a junkie of his content, and I'm one of those individuals that are really excited because of this particular thing that is happening. But before we talk about that, there's something that I really think is very critical, which is the conversation that we're going to be delving in throughout the entirety of this podcast episode. We want to talk about something critical, especially for young people that are right here in Zimbabwe and those that also operate on the African continent, which is the issue of leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome Vimbai Butau. That is the founder and chief executive officer of My African Child and Youth Development Organization. Vimbai, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be at the Simudzirayi Podcast with Tinashe Simudzirayi.
For the first time. Interesting stuff. Now, before we talk about a lot of things, because I understand we've got so many topics or so many issues that we're going to discuss around the issues of leadership. And the reason why I had to invite you was because I wanted to understand your perspective around the leadership issues that are concerning young people that are right here in Zimbabwe. The reason I'm saying that is because I understand your organization is very big on this, on pushing this initiative, especially when it comes to giving young people skills or maybe giving them exposure so that at least they can do something that is good for them and maybe for the country as well. So maybe let's just touch on there. What really drives you when it comes to issues that have to do with leadership, especially with the Macydo? I don't know whether it's Macydo, it's Macydo.
Yeah. Lord forgive him, for he does not know what he's doing. It's Macydo.
The reason I had to ask, it was because I saw Vusi's promo video.
And you said
and
that.
You said Macydo.
I was there, I'm like,
yes.
That Vusi. My brother, what went wrong?
Yeah.
But Well, it's the same thing at the end of the day because it is my Africa Child and Youth Development Organization. So it depends on how you pronounce it. It could be Macydo, how I like to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Macydo or I'll start there. Macydo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes. So you were asking what we do, what drives me with the vision.
Yeah.
How do I put this? So, the idea behind my passion, right, especially when it comes to young people, it's African development.
Sure.
Zimbabwe and African development. And understanding that young people play a very big role in the future of Africa and of Zimbabwe, of course. So, that's why everything that we do in my Africa Child and Youth Development Organization is focusing on youth getting involved in leadership, entrepreneurship and innovation in Africa. Why? Because they are the ones, the young people, the youth are the key. They're the catalyst of change for the future.
Yeah.
Whatever we want to see in the next 40 years, 20 years, it's all dependent on the future of today.
Yeah.
And I always refer back to history. You know, if you did your history in high school, you learn about the Chimurenga War and the black Zimbabweans, the native Zimbabweans decided to take back the land. Yeah. And if you really do your studies, you realize that it was young black people that went to say, enough is enough, we want to take back. Yeah. Right? They were your 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Below 25 young of age, right? So that's the same with us in this generation, that we are also, they did that and we are now here. We are able to even start businesses, we're able to go to universities, girls can go to school. It was because of what they did back then. So now if we want to see the economic development of Africa, we have to do similar to what they did back then. But, well, it's a bit different because we're not going into a war of guns, but it's called the economic war zone that we're in, where we have to take part. We cannot wait for somebody else to do it. So that's why we focus on leadership and entrepreneurship and innovation development, focusing mainly on the youth in the organization.
Yeah. Maybe just to build the bridge on the sentiments that you're just sharing. I've also noticed that quite a number of young people, especially right here in Zimbabwe, when you talk about the entrepreneurship issues, a lot of young people that get into entrepreneurship spaces, they get into there not necessarily because they are leaders per se, but it's mostly because of issues at home, consequences. So it's not as a result of maybe trying to identify a situation to say, I want to solve this problem, therefore I am the leader. But it's mostly because of life issues and life pressures. And then they have to get into entrepreneurship spaces. So with most of the conferences that you hosted, like the ones that I've attended, I've noticed that you have quite a number of business people that really come there. They're sharing issues about their business perspectives. They're sharing issues about inspirational stuff that they're doing. As Macydo, besides the workshops, what else do you do to empower these young people?
So now you're going to make me spill the beans. All right, so we're working on something. So we do, a couple of workshops, right, with young people, getting them exposed to some well-experienced entrepreneurs, business leaders, so that they can share with them the journey and the importance of entrepreneurship as well. And as an organization, we are working on something that is it's still in the pipeline, so I don't want to share too much information, but we are working on something that's very exciting that we'll be launching at the upcoming conference for young people, and a platform for them to have constant training, right?
Yes.
The captains of industries, from your leaders, from each other, peer mentoring and all of that, for each level of entrepreneurship, from those that are still thinking if they should be entrepreneurs, or like you say, those that have just started businesses but they don't know what's the future of it. They just did it because they want to just get some money in their pocket for that moment, and see how can we help them harness that inner talent that they have to create them to help them develop them to be real entrepreneurs and become part of the economic development of the country. We get to the level of those that have already started, you have startups, and then you have those that are now upscaling, because the economy of Africa the economy of Zimbabwe is in the hands of the youth.
Yeah.
So that's why this is very important to us as an organization, to make sure that the young people are well equipped, because the future Econet is in our hands. The future Amazon is in our hands as the young people. But if we don't do anything about it today, then we're not going to have anything in the future. Yeah,
that's true. I think I can also stand with the words that you have just said, where you were saying that that the future of Zimbabwe's economy is in the hands of the youth. And I strongly believe that, because I think it's testament to everyone that we have a large informal sector as compared to a formal sector by in the country. The next question that I would have to ask is mostly centralized around that with most of the young people that you're working with, what do you believe are the biggest obstacles that they are coming across, especially in this journey of entrepreneurship and also trying to lead and also trying to find solutions for our country?
Okay, there's quite a lot of them, but I'm going to focus on two. Right. Number one would be exposure.
Okay.
All right. Our young people, they don't have much exposure on markets, on what's happening around the entrepreneurship circles, right? Their exposure, most of them, is only limited to what they have around them, right?
Yes.
If it's, let's say they're based in Harare, their exposure is just here in Harare, and then that's it. There's more that's happening outside Harare. There's more happening outside Zimbabwe, outside Africa, and the more we get young people exposed to that, you see that their vision will be enlarged, that informal sector today can grow to become a big enterprise, right? So but for them to start thinking that way, they have to have the exposure, because a lot of them, you realize that right now what they're thinking is just, I need money in my pocket. Sure. I just have a small business that I'm running and it's feeding me, but they don't realize the gold mine that they have with the idea that they're carrying, right? So they need that exposure for them to enlarge their vision and all of that. You'll be surprised that just taking somebody to South Africa who has never been to South Africa, they'll come back with a different mindset. If you take someone to Dubai, they'll come back with a very different mindset. I do conferencing and everything that part of Macydo's stuff that we do, part of this conferencing. I had the privilege under the Ministry of Youth, Honorable Macydo, to go to Russia for the World Youth Festival last year, 2024. Right. And when I got there, I thought I was at the peak with my conference, I'm doing well. And it was after I brought Vusi to Zimbabwe. And I hosted this in HICC. So we were like, oh my goodness, I did great, right? And then I went exactly with over 1,000 people that came. But now I went to Russia for the World Youth Festival. There were more than 50,000 young people.
Wow.
It was a festival for a whole week.
Okay.
And the setup was different. You see, that exposure, I would like to say that I'm already exposed, right? But going there and seeing that, it enlarged my vision. And I went back to the drawing board no. I thought I'm at the peak, but I'm very small for it. There's still a lot that I can still do, right? So you see what exposure does. It enlarges your vision to see more than what you're surrounding, right? So that's number one. And the second issue that I would say is affecting our young people is not understanding the times, the seasons, and the environment.
Okay.
I think people don't take this much into consideration when you're starting a business.
Okay.
Everyone wants to do business, right?
Yeah, sure.
But just because you have an idea doesn't mean that the environment you are in is good for that idea or is ready for that idea.
Okay.
So that's why you see young people with this very amazing, innovative ideas, right? But they're not accepted in the environment. It's not because people hate you, right? But it's because you didn't understand the environment that you're in, the season that you're in, the time that you're in.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah. Right. So that's why a lot of people miss it. That's how you end up seeing a lot of, not just young people, a lot of people migrating from outside Harare to come to Harare to start business, because everyone thinks that business is in Harare. But when you look at it, almost everyone in Harare, right, is either, majority, it either has a tuck shop, selling clothes, selling makeup, around those things, right? Nothing wrong with that. We need those things. But when you find it's very clustered, right?
Yeah.
It loses its value. What about the other industries, right?
Yeah.
So when I say let's understand the times, the season, and the environment, it goes back even to history to understand it. You know, when the script, I'm very sorry, I love history because history makes you understand the times that you're in and the future as well.
Yeah.
So when you go back into history, when the white settlers came to Zimbabwe, right? Let's leave out the rest of Africa. Let's talk about Zimbabwe itself. When they did the whole scramble of Africa, and then we had them come to Zimbabwe to take Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Do you remember why they did that from history class? What did they want in Zimbabwe?
I was bad in history. But...
Oh my goodness.
Carry on.
Land.
Yeah.
Land, because Zimbabwe has fertile land. To the point that Zimbabwe was seen as the breadbasket of what? Of Africa in the world, right?
Yeah, sure.
Why? Because of the land, very fertile lands.
Yeah.
To the point that this one I learned it from Arikana Shomurko, amazing lady when it comes to when we want to understand African history and, you know, the emancipation of Africa.
Yeah.
Right. She did this training when she was talking about how Zimbabwe, where the white settlers came, was divided into 4 sectors.
Okay.
Right. But all of them were farms.
Okay.
Right. The whole of Zimbabwe was just a farm. Does it make sense? So every corner of Zimbabwe, as big as it is, it was a farm to the white settlers. They divided into 4 regions. The first region was the one that has very good land. Second region was fairly good land as well. Third one was almost there, but very good for animals, right?
Yeah.
And then the 4th region was quite bad weathers and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So the white settlers took the first 3,
Okay.
right, and then took the black settlers to the 4th one.
Okay.
Why? Because they wanted land. And they started farming. And if you go onto the map of Zimbabwe, right, and you look at the map of the trains, roller train, railway.
That's the word. Yeah.
Yes, right. If you look at it, you will notice that they were all leading to certain ports, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because they were meant to transport food from the farms to where? Outside, taking them back to their countries.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So why were they here? For land.
Yeah.
And then us now, when we took back the land from the white settlers, we forgot that our goal is in the land.
Okay.
Our economy is in the land. And everyone wants to do everything else except for farming.
Okay.
Everyone wants to do everything else except for what is needful to be done for us to boost our economy.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? So that's what I talk about when I say environment. Everyone wants to be a lawyer, everyone wants to be everything else, but not being a farmer when everything that we need is in farming.
Yeah.
We should be providing even to the international markets and everything else, right? From our land.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that's where our young people need to understand the times, the seasons, and the environment. Exactly. This is just like a teensy bit of it. There's a lot. There's the mining side.
Yeah.
I remember the Honorable Vice President, Honorable Chiwenga, once made a comment at an event when he said that we should get into khaki jobs. And it trended on social media. People literally said, oh no, why khaki jobs? What is he saying? Not saying anything makes sense. But he actually said the wisest thing ever.
Yeah.
Khaki jobs is farming.
Okay.
You need to get into farming. You can never go wrong with food, right? Because even if you look back at COVID, right?
Yeah.
People needed to eat and every day.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. So that's why I say, number 1, exposure. Number 2, understanding the environment. What is it that Zimbabwe can do? Invest in that.
Yeah.
Invest into farming. Invest into... Yes, the other things will come on, right? But let's do that. And you see where we'll go as a country and if we spread it to even the continent.
I think that also brought... It's a weird question that I've always had. Because when I look at Zimbabwe, I always felt like it's a very small economy, in the sense that I think we have about 14 or 16 million people around. That's the whole population of Zimbabwe.
Just above 16.
Just above 16 million. Yeah. And what that pretty much means we are talking about issues that have to do with land. You were saying that this is exactly why the settlers came in, because they wanted land, and we also had our own fair share of natural resources and all of that. In that sense, are we also having conversations around young people in Zimbabwe thinking beyond the local market that we have? So in this case, if I have my farm, do we have workshops, or do we have training masterclasses where we are saying, look, besides trying to get your vegetables and selling them at Barenmuseka, you can also sell your vegetables in Namibia, or you can also go to Mozambique or Angola or Botswana. Do we have such a space like that where we're talking about issues like those?
Yes, they're there a lot. It's only that young people, you spend too much time on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram looking for the wrong things.
Yeah, for the wrong things. Things, yeah. Yeah.
But you know, the opportunities are there, right? Do you know where Ministry of Youth, right, who exposed me to a lot of things. I had a conversation with the permanent secretary, right, of the Ministry of Youth, and was telling me about this, I'm forgetting the actual name, they're like watermelons, not the watermelon ones, right? Yeah. Where there is so much market for them in Dubai.
Okay.
All right. And he was talking about getting land for young people to start farming it in Chimoe so that they can export it. So you see, the market is there. It's only about how much hungry are we for it.
Yeah.
That's why we have a government, right, to ask those questions. The problem that we have as young people is that we spend so much time asking the government the wrong questions. So we never end up having the right information.
Okay. What are the right questions?
Right question number one. Okay, I have to address the wrong question to bring in the right question.
Still fine.
Wrong question that a lot of young people ask the government is, where are the jobs? Why are we not creating jobs for us?
I don't think government creates employment.
Thank you. Right. That's a very important thing that young people have to understand.
Yeah.
That the government, no matter where you go, not just in Zimbabwe, right? If you go to South Africa, if you go to Kenya, if you go to America, wherever, government is not in the business of creating jobs.
Yeah.
But you know what they're in the business of doing? Making the environment conducive
to create jobs.
To create and run a business. So when we spend so much time asking the government that create jobs for us, we are losing the fight. That we're actually not even in the fight. It's like we're shouting from outside the ring.
Yes.
Right? And they're in the ring and just looking like, okay, right. Let's leave out politicians who go because they want the votes, right? So they'll tell you like, when I get into office, I'll make sure that you get jobs. Yeah. There'll be high employment in Zimbabwe, whatnot. Those are political talks.
Yeah, sure.
Because I want to vote.
Yeah.
Right. But the important thing is when somebody says to you, I'm going to make the environment conducive for you to start a business. Yeah. For you to export. So when we first start that, we are having that conversation with our government to say, hello. So this is like the platform that we're creating at the conference. Yeah. Where we sit with the government, right? We sit with the business leaders. Listen, we're young people. Yeah. We have businesses, right? Can the environment be conducive? These are the huge situations that we're facing as young business leaders. Yeah. You get it? Yeah. You have changed the conversation. Yeah. And then you start asking those questions. How do we move product outside Zimbabwe? Okay. Or how do we even localize our products so that we don't keep on having international products coming into Zimbabwe? Yeah. Does it make sense? So it's all about asking the right questions and not asking the completely wrong questions, and you find yourself not being answered and you think, no, the government is ignorant, they don't care about us. It don't look like that because you are fighting from outside the ring and asking the wrong questions. The minute you start asking the right questions, you're now inside the ring. Yeah. They have to answer to it because they know that it's their responsibility. If you ask the government, create jobs for us, they'll just be like, jobs are coming and all of that. Yeah. But you're outside the ring. It won't happen. But now when you start asking, can you make it conducive? You're now having discussions about tax, right? Mm-hmm. You're now having discussions about, registering a business, the cost of registering a business, how to operate, the licenses and everything like that, right? Yeah. You've changed the narrative because that's what they are there for. Okay. They'll now feel like, okay, now there's the pressure because you're asking us to do our job. Yeah. When you ask them to create jobs, you're actually asking them to do something that's not even in their portfolio. Yeah. At the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, on that response, you also brought in something that is very important, especially to the youth. But in your response, you spoke about the importance of making sure that as many young people, they are exposed. Exposure is meaning to different institutions that offer the information that we need. I noticed we're talking about issues that have to do with tax. A lot of us, we just start our funny business, or we call it a side hustle. Then after we've started our side hustle, we are not familiar with being tax compliant. We are not familiar with issues that have to do with just the basic registration of a company and all of that. But in this case, we are also trying to say, I want to be the next Strike Messiah, or I want to be the next Shingim Tasa, or I want to be the next Nitrogen Akina, which pretty much means that I want to start a business that is going to be listed on the stock exchange. So in that sense, what are the opportunities that are there for young people to understand how they can build sustainable businesses, especially in this environment?
You want an easy answer to that one?
Yeah. Shoot.
Let me show you.
Okay.
Internet. Before we even go far, right? Yeah. They are other things, but this. If you want to find yourself growing, right? Let's put, for example, like you say, Shingim Tasa.
Yeah.
Developing a business, right? Or Strive Masiwa, right?
Yeah.
Research. Study.
Okay.
Spend time studying the right things, the proper things.
Yeah.
Research has shown that young people spend about 90% of their time on their phones, on the internet, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'll repeat this. I said this earlier, right?
Yeah.
But can you spend also time studying the right things, the right content?
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So with that, you'll find a way to create structures in your business. Because if you want to grow your business, you have to have structures, right? Yeah. Yes, it might start as a startup, it might start as a side hustle, right? But if your vision wanted to grow to become an econet, you have to invest in it a lot.
Sure.
My pastor, Pastor Chris, always taught us that success is impacting the world with the investment of your personality. Right.
Yeah.
So what this means is that for you to be a success, you have to invest in yourself. Because with what you have, it's what you give.
Yeah.
You can pour from an empty cup. Right. So you invest in yourself by exposing yourself to the right information. You want to grow your business. No one is going to come and teach you to say, oh, you have a business, I want to teach you. Oh, no. You have to make that investment by yourself.
Sure.
Go and study. And you know what? We're a very blessed generation because we have a lot of cheat codes. People like Strive Masiwa didn't have a cheat code. They had to start from the scratch. They didn't have access to internet like we do. I can learn business from someone in America. I can learn business from someone like Vimbai Butau, a mentor of mine. Where is he best? In South Africa. Right? We have our own local people like Dr. Divine Lukula, a lot of them. I don't have to have access to them directly, but I can learn a lot from the internet, from the information that's shared. Even you have institutions that even offer some short courses to learn these things. But the unfortunate thing with our generation is that we like, a brother of mine calls it, we're like a 2 minutes noodle generation. We will want things very quick. I started a side hustle today, tomorrow it should be econet. No. Invest in it, allow it to take time. Allow it to grow.
But isn't it because maybe the world is also shifting in the sense that maybe you can start your own AI company in the next 3 years or 4 years already $1 billion or something like that sort.
But here's the thing that you miss. That person who started an AI company today and 3 years later it's booming, right? They invested in those 3 years. Go and study what they invested. They were not sleeping. They were not sitting. They were not just saying, oh, I started something so it has to boom. They had to invest. They might have had sleepless nights, right, in the first year to try to fit everything that they are doing into this environment that they are in. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But if you don't, then you're not going to get any results.
Okay.
At the end of the day, does it make sense? So even that person who might have said that they started a business yesterday and then 2 years later it boomed, right? Check their track record, check their history. what were they doing before? Maybe it's only you knowing today that they started their business like 2 years ago, but before those 2 years, what were they doing? That's an investment that they were doing as well. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does.
So, yeah, my advice is take time to invest in your idea. Take time to invest in yourself as a person, in your growth.
Yeah.
If you want to become Strive Masiwa in the next 10 years, start finding out what is Strive Masiwa to invest that, or even do more. Do 10 times more, because the aim shouldn't be to be like Strive Masiwa, but to be better than Strive Masiwa.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Yeah, and you take time to invest.
100%. Now let's talk about the Zimbabwe International Youth Trade Fair Conference.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the Zimbabwe International Youth Trade Fair and Conference that is taking place at HICC.
Yes.
On the 6th of June. What are we expecting?
It's the biggest and the best
Yeah. Tell us about it.
entrepreneurship conference ever to happen in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And I call it's a convocation of the elite minds.
Convocation.
Yes, it's a gathering of the elite minds, not just for anybody, right?
Yeah.
It's open to everyone, but not for anybody. You know what I mean by that, right? Like, it's open to everyone here, but it's only the elite minds that will understand the value of the conference and actually.
Yes.
That's why we call it the convocation of the elite minds. People who understand the value of Africa, the value of Zimbabwe, and want to take part in the development of our country and our continent. People who want to be written in the books of history and say, I was there, I was part of it. Our leaders, right now, when you go back to study history, right? History is written about His Excellency President Robert Mugabe. It is written about His Excellency President Emerson Mnangagwa. It is written about the Honorable Vice President Chiwenga. It is written about Tongogara. It is written about all of those people, right? Yeah. But the question is, what's going to be written about you? So if you're coming to this conference, you've made up your mind that something has to be said about me. In the future, I want to be part of it. I want to be part of the future of Africa. I want to be the part of the future of Zimbabwe. So listen, the 6th of June, you better find yourself at the HICC. If you're not there, then man. I don't know who will be part of the history anymore.
You'll miss out on the history. So who's coming?
We have amazing people coming. Of course, your favorites.
I've got my questions around the favorite, but
your favorites. The one and only. Vusi Tembekwayo.
Hello, family.
Hello, family.
Well, I wanted to say that line, but anyways, it's a conversation for another day for my podcast.
Well, too late for that.
Hello, Zimbabwe. Hello. Hello, Zimbabwe.
That could actually work.
It could actually work. Anyways, we continue.
Well, maybe. Okay, we'll see. All right, so we have Vusi Tembekwayo coming. We have Kwame Opoku from Ghana. Futurist Kwame focuses on innovation, right, and technology development in Africa. And again, talks about the times and the seasons, when it comes to tech and everything. So very much looking forward to that. And there's one of my favorite, like Vusi Kwame, they're my favorites, but this one is special to me because she's like a mom and she echoes the voice of African development. Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chiwomorikwao. A treasure not for Zimbabwe but for Africa. When she speaks, you feel like you have to carry the whole of Africa on your own.
Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And we have our very own local speakers, our own captains of industry in our own economy, because we can't really talk about our economic development in Zimbabwe without the voices of Zimbabwe. They bring the international side of it. Like I said, it's exposure, right? They bring in the Vusi Kwame, they bring in the international exposure, the international vision of business, but
they're
also
speaking from an African perspective.
Exactly.
Individualistic to say we're talking about Ghana or South Africa.
And now we're talking about Zimbabwe as well. So you have our own local speakers that will be there talking about the environment in Zimbabwe, because the idea again is to create a platform that enlarges a young person's vision.
Yeah.
So we're talking about business in Zimbabwe and then enlarge it by bringing in international speakers to share their perspective on the outside of Zimbabwe, so that young people can see beyond I have a business in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, sure.
They can see, Tinashe Simudzirayi saying that, I have a podcast in Africa.
True.
Not in Zimbabwe. Does it make sense?
That's where we're going. That's where we're going.
Hello, Africa.
Yeah.
Hello, Africa.
Hello, Africa. Yeah, you might actually have to change it from Hello Zimbabwe to Hello Africa. Yes. So that's it, the idea of the conference. Even if you see how we structure it, it's not a Paspemunti conference. When we talk about, I think, so youth are the largest population in Africa.
Yeah, sure.
And in Zimbabwe as well, right?
Yeah.
But we folks understand that youth are the most important generation. Do you know that?
Of course, yeah.
The young ones are still young.
True.
Right? The older ones, they've already passed their age.
Yeah, they've already
written their history, right? Yeah. But the youth, they're the future.
Yeah.
Right. So they're the most important. They have to be invested in as much as possible. Which is why when we do our conferences, yes, it's for youth, but we make sure that it's not youthy, if that makes sense. Because anything that's seen as youth is more like, this my youth is this one. This makes sense. It's not taken seriously. It's all right, let's do it under a tree or in a tent. But when I do my conferences, I understand who youth are. Who we are as youth. So I make sure that I invest as much as I can, which is why when we do our conferences, it has to be world class. HICC.
Of course, world class.
You get it?
Yeah.
If I'm to pick two venues in Zimbabwe to host that conference, I'll pick HICC and Hippodrome. You get it? Yeah. So that it maintains the standard of it. When I get my speakers, they're speakers that are, when they speak, young people can grow from them.
True.
You get it?
Yeah.
So that they understand that the future is actually in their hands.
Yeah.
The theme this year is the future is now.
The future is now.
You get it? The future is now. The future is not, we're waiting for them to grow up. No. We start investing now.
Yeah.
We're investing in the future right now, because whatever we want to see in 10 years from now, it's invested in today. We make those decisions today.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is, if you want to see the full package, you will have to be at the conference and you'll not be disappointed at all.
Yeah. How much are the tickets going for?
So they're very affordable considering the speakers, the venue, the ambience, actually, you should say how much is the investment?
How much is the investment fee?
We're investing in yourself.
Yeah,
it's not how much the ticket price is.
Yeah.
And we have for our high school students, they're going for $5. And then we have for university students, $10. Right? See, we're very generous.
Very generous.
Where would you see Vusi and listen to
$5, $10? Yeah.
And then with the standard ticket for $40, right? Yeah. This is now for general people, right? Our general, entrepreneurs that are growing, not only in university and all of that. Those are $40. And then with the student VIP, right? Which is $120, and then the general VIP, which is I think $100 or $120, and then the general VIP is $150. So what's the difference? Because you're gonna ask there's like a difference between the general one and then what's the VIP? Because VIP is an extreme experience, if I must say it. Like the whole conference is an experience.
It's VIP meeting booster.
Wait, I'm not sure. The whole conference is an experience. Just being there is an experience, right? Yeah. The ZRY TFC 2025 is a whole experience, but VIP is like
top.
Extra experience. It includes teas in the morning, or you're networking in the VIP lounge. A very light lunch. Again, you're networking. We take a break, right? You're still networking in the VIP lounge. And then afterwards, the conference ends at 5 p.m. But if you have a VIP ticket, the conference hasn't ended yet for you.
It's still starting.
Because from 6 o'clock to late, we have the VIP networking dinner. Where you have Vusi there. And if you have a VIP ticket, you get a copy of Vusi's book, signed for you on the day by him himself. You get a photo, you get to talk to him.
Which book is this? Is this the Magna Carta?
The Magna Carta, of course.
Yeah, it's my favorite book, guys. So I would know it. I know it word for it. I'm just joking. Yes.
So you don't need a book, right?
I do have it. But it needs the signature.
Oh, so you're gonna bring your copy and then
bring my copy.
I don't need the new one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna bring we also have copies of Vusi as well, because we think I believe that the Vusi book, not Vusi the person, Vusi the book.
Yeah.
Right. Vusi the book, it relates a lot to our younger generation, high school students, university students, those that are still trying to start up and all of that, because it talks about the journey of entrepreneurship, right?
Okay.
Vusi from, yeah.
Wait, you authored this book?
Sorry?
Did you author this book?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I didn't know about this one. Why?
You don't know the Vusi book. Now I'm questioning if you
exactly.
really
Now I'm
yeah.
also questioning.
Yeah, I'm already questioning. It was before the Magna Carta.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that one for high school, and then for people like you, we have the Magna Carta. For people like you, yes, get a copy, and that's cooking dinner. So it's like a whole red carpet event in the evening. Okay. So that's why I say like it's an extra experience. Because in the afternoon you have the experience, but in the evening there's like the extra experience. We mentioned the Vusi is there, Dr. Khan is there, our local speakers are there. Yeah. It's like a make or break moment for every person who will be there. And it's limited, right? We only have very limited tickets for that one. The rest of the conference, we're expecting about 4,000 people that are coming. So you can just imagine how very limited our VIP is.
I think even 4,000 it's limited tickets as well, because just considering the number of young people that we have in the country.
For me, that's a lot. I would have actually wanted 1,000.
4,000 is too much. So you didn't want to give people the Vusi experience, you just wanted 1,000 people only.
Serious people. But I didn't realize that, you know what?
Yeah.
We can still get 4,000 serious people, so let's go for the 4,000 serious people.
That's very possible. That's very possible.
Because young people in Zimbabwe, we have the drive, we have the hunger for information, for exposure, for all of this. So that's why 4,000 is a good number. Because out of the 16 million people that we have, let's bring it out to the general youth population, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying youth, I'm not talking about the young people, right? Yeah. I'm talking about youth, we get to what? 35? 40? 45? Yeah. Maybe 55?
So young.
Young as well?
55, yeah.
But you get my point. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm about to get into my own personal questions.
Uh-oh.
The ones that do not belong to the podcast. But yeah, so the first question obviously that I'm going to ask is how is it like being mentored by Vusi?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask how is it like to be in Vimbai?
We'll get there. Let's talk about Vusi.
Now that's joking.
Yeah.
It's good, hey? It's good. The exposure, the knowledge is a brain. Yeah, wisdom is with him, eh?
Yeah.
That's the best I can say. He's full of wisdom, and every time I get to sit with him and have a conversation with him, it's always very enlightening, and he challenges my brain, which is one of the things that I like. Right? I'll go and tell him like, see, I'm planning on this and this and this. This is what I think of Zimbabwe. This is what I think of Africa, and then you'll be like, this, you will have a different perspective, but that really challenges me to say, you know what? I think I can do it because I'm thinking of it. You get it? Okay. And I want to prove him wrong that it can be done.
Yeah, sure.
Things like that. Sure. But the knowledge that he has, and listen, I get to also use that advantage to bring him to Zimbabwe and get other young people exposed to him.
Okay, so how does it feel like to be this?
But that was a joke.
How does it feel like to be Vimbai? Yeah, in fact, it's now a serious question.
What?
Take me through your day, especially when you're planning this big of an event. What does it look like? Because I still remember we were supposed to do the shoot last week. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, I've got something busy, etc. And then today we almost didn't have it because you had meetings for the event that we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
So is this like the typical day that you have on a consistent basis to say, guys, I'm focused on Vusi right now. Catch me later.
I'm not focused on Vusi, I'm focused on the conference, man.
The conference. That has
This bias.
Biased. I'm focused on the conference. On the young people. That's my focus.
Yeah.
The young people, the 4,000 young people that are coming.
Yeah, true. Let's talk about that.
It's a journey. I feel like it's just like a normal day like everyone else. Yeah, like you're working, you're planning, you have a team, you're putting things together. I have an amazing team I truly cherish. They're doing the runarounds, we're doing running arounds together, we're planning meetings, trying to convince people to invest in this. Yeah, a lot. Trying to get businesses to say, please sponsor, because we don't want to charge young people a lot of money. Please sponsor. And then we have our very interesting behind the scenes where someone would then have like funny comments on our socials.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Light moment, right?
Yeah.
We'll post a post, right, with the prices for the tickets, right?
Sure.
And then someone will take a screenshot and then sends us to our business number and ask, how much are the tickets?
Yeah.
So one of our highlights, and we're like,
dude,
what do you mean?
what do you mean how many the tickets? Yeah.
Things like that. Or you have somebody who then comes and they're like, your conference is so expensive. And you're like, do you know how much we are paying for this conference?
Yeah.
Do you know how much we're spending? Even if all 4,000 of you come to this conference and you're paying, all of you, it won't even cover the cost of this conference. You know, people are flying into the country and all of that.
Yeah.
But you can't even air out those things. So it's like things that we do it like internally and we're laughing about it to the team. And then you try to go to get sponsors. Sponsors are like, yeah, we don't see the value of this. And you're like, what do you mean? But also it goes back to marketing, right? I had the privilege, one of the days I was traveling back from South Africa recently, and I sat down with this amazing man. He's a marketer, right? He's an author of this book focusing on marketing, and he started telling me, so we're having this conversation about it. We just end up having a conversation about this conference, right? He runs a marketing business in South Africa. And as we're having a conversation about marketing, I told like, people complain that, it's expensive. And he's like, no, don't worry. They are not your target markets.
Yeah.
And I remember Pussy always saying that, like, they are not your target markets. So
exactly.
when I now see those comments, people are like, oh, tickets are very pricey. So just like,
we are not the target market.
don't worry. The people who understand will get the tickets. Don't worry. It's not for everybody. It's for the elite minds.
It's for the, I'm thinking, is it called? No, it's not. It's not a court statement to say.
The target market. Apparently, it's like, well, if you say it publicly, it sounds cold. But if you just say it like, channel, it's like,
Like what's public?
Well, I didn't say it. Did I say anything?
No, you didn't.
Okay. I didn't, right? Yeah.
You
didn't say it. But I didn't say that it's you're not the target market. I said somebody said it. I didn't say
I'm not the target market.
Yeah, so it's not me, right?
Yeah, so you didn't say anything cold.
Okay, I didn't say anything. Good.
Yeah. Anyway, so here at the Simudzirayi Podcast, we've got a closing tradition where we ask you a series of questions.
What?
And these are yes or no questions.
You ask me questions this whole time.
Yeah, but these ones, they are yes or no.
Uh-oh.
Black and white, no grey.
No maybe?
No maybe.
What if there is a maybe?
We get to the question that has a yes.
Okay, fine.
That's fine. So the first one, yes or no? Do you ever practice your CEO voice in front of a mirror?
No. No, let me tell you what I practice in front of the mirror. I definitely don't practice the CEO voice.
Yeah.
I practice presenting on the mirror. Like, even when I'm driving, right? I do not know why.
Yeah.
In my head, like, my
presentation, yeah.
No, not the presentation.
Yeah.
Like being like a TV presenter.
Oh!
I know. So, then I'm like...
Yeah.
Okay, for example, in our church, we have the healing streams, right?
Yeah.
So I could be in front of the mirror and be like... It's the Healing Streams Live Healing Services with the dear man of God, Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome, DSC, DS. So I do these things, right? When I'm like alone, but not really practice my CEO voice. So it's a no?
It's a no. Good. It's a no. Second question. Have you ever fired someone in your head, then smiled at them in your real life?
All the time! Yes!
Crazy. No.
I have so many times.
Okay. Then, third question. Have you ever emailed yourself to look productive?
That sounds so silly. Why would you
Writing
do
yourself
that?
an email just to look productive.
What? Is that a thing?
Yeah, to some people.
Okay, it sounds like you have done it.
Send yourself an email, take a screenshot,
Yeah.
and post it and be like, guys,
Yeah, because you want to look busy.
you know.
What? People do that? I feel like he has done it.
I've done that. I've forged a report that way, so I think this guy needs to be fired.
When it's fine.
you right now.
Okay. Okay, do you believe a strategic nap should be part of everyone's CEO's daily routine? Strategic sleep.
It doesn't called like a strategic sleep. What's that? Just sleep. Strategic sleep. Just sleep. I love sleeping, so
Yes.
I guess I'll say yes to that.
Okay. Have you ever wanted to say, next question, have you ever wanted to say, as per my last email with violence?
Well, I always say that though. Then okay.
As per your last email. As per my last email. And you know if you feel like you want to beat someone.
Yeah, but I always do that. Like, that's my last conversation with you.
Yeah.
My last email. Yeah, definitely.
So that's a yes.
Yes. And you're like fuming at that moment, but you're trying to sound calm.
Okay.
What?
That's honest.
I've never done it. No.
Okay, it's fine. Now let's move on to the last two questions I'm gonna ask. So this one, do you sometimes pretend to understand corporate jargon just to keep the meeting moving?
No, I always understand corporate jargon. I'm that smart.
Okay. So that's a no.
That's a no.
Yeah, crazy. Then
But forget the other parts. I've just never done it. Maybe I've just never been in the situation to do it.
okay. Then now we move on to the last. Wait, I have a couple of interesting questions. I'm going to ask the last one.
Okay.
No, so I'm going to ask the last two. You said you're a numbers person. So obviously you're going to like
Why did you
this.
say I'm a numbers person?
You did.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Why did I say that?
Okay,
fine. Let's go for it.
Okay. Do you think Excel was secretly judging us all?
I feel like it is. Definitely.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then we move on to the last question. Have you ever thought of calling in rich instead of calling in sick?
What?
Have you ever thought of calling in rich instead of calling in sick? Like, I'm not going to work because I'm
rich?
Yeah, because I'm rich.
I think I'm going to start doing that now. No. It's a no, but I'm going to start doing that. That's a plan. Sorry, I'm rich. I can't come to the mix.
You're so comfortable.
Rich, I'm not coming. Rich, I'm not
Rich is not coming. I'm going to start doing that.
Alright, yeah. So yeah, that's it. Done.
That's all the questions?
That's all the questions. One more. Yeah, that's all the questions.
That was so much fun.
Alright, so Vimbai, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having this conversation with you. So what are your final words? What do you want to say to the audience, or my growing audience for this podcast? Yeah.
Listen, the future is in our hands. The future is now. And let's take part of it. I would want to say, listen, come to the ZIYTFC on the 6th of June. Like I said, it's a convocation of the elite mind. So if you think you're an elite mind, find yourself there. The future is now. Let us invest in the future that we want to see in Zimbabwe and in Africa. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you all there, and we can start discussing and planning for the future of our country and our continent.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a convocation of the elite mind. That was Vimbai Butau, the Chief Executive Officer of Macydo. It's not Macydo. Simudzirayi was wrong. So I'm also looking forward to having you on the next episode that we're going to shoot. We had a lovely conversation with Vimbai, and I promise you that the next conversation is going to be Mapia.
What is that?
No, the street will understand.